Dane Stewart here with Game Night Live Rewind. Excited to introduce our inaugural Rewind crossover. What is crossover? Well, we here at Rewind, we love covering sports across the state of Utah, but we recognize sometimes that doesn't allow us to get into the real detailed stories at your favorite program or region. So we're going to be bringing on media personalities from across the state to dive into your favorite high school or area. And for our first edition, we're bringing on standard examiners Patrick Carr. Let's get to it. Our first edition of Rewind Crossover. Dane Stewart here with Patrick Carr of the Standard Examiner. We're going to talk a little Region 5 basketball for you here today. And Patrick, you know, non-region play underway. When you look at Region 5, how it's been enveloping, what would you say is maybe the most surprising thing that you've seen in the early part of the season?
You know, honestly, I think I got to say, maybe not necessarily surprising, but Bountiful boys being 6-0, maybe something I didn't expect right now. They've got 4 new starters this year in the lineup. Their one starter that came back this year was Carson Jones, missed a few weeks of football with a knee injury. You kind of had some questions about the Lakers, especially with how their team runs. A lot of defense on Bountiful, and defense, good defense, depends on chemistry, which they're still kind of working on right now. But them being 6-0 and also not having allowed 50 points in a game yet, I'd say that's the closest thing to surprising, possibly.
Yeah, it's certainly been a great start for the Lakers, and we'll get a chance to see them against Ogden, big rivalry matchup, see if the Tigers have something in store for them. You know, some of the other teams in this region, I mean, I think maybe the win that took most people by surprise, Northridge beating Lone Peak, Sam Sivilich, obviously, great scorer, great shooter. Big win for Northridge, maybe represent Region 5 a little bit.
Oh, that was huge. And I know Lone Peak is not the Lone Peak that it's been in the past, but it's still Lone Peak in name. They still are a very good program. They're going to play well every night. And it's funny, that was Sam's second buzzer beater of the week, because he hit a corner buzzer beater against Cottonwood, like an actual buzzer beater. This Lone Peak one was like with 5 seconds left or something, and a teammate made 2 free throws. So Northridge, another team sort of to keep an eye on. They've got a lot of seniors. They're taking a step down from Region 1 to Region 5. So far, they've been a lot more competitive. I think that's going to be a good thing for them playing in Region 5. I think they'll fit in right well.
Sivilich can throw dimes, too. He had a great assist off the backboard for the follow-up dunk, and that was a top 5 play in case any of you were wondering. We're talking about guards. How about Sam Stevenson, Bountiful? This has been a team that started 3-0, lost their 4th game of the year, but he's been big for them. Assists, steals. He's been a very active and tenacious guard for the Redhawks.
He has, and he's sort of their best returning player. You know, they have a lot of new guys this year. And obviously it's probably a situation that Mike Maxwell has faced many times in his coaching career. He's been around the block a few times, especially at Bountiful. But I do look at the Redhawks a little bit as a little bit down this year. You know, if Stevenson's going to be their only scoring option, and mind you, Stevenson's been playing very well so far this year all over the court, they're going to need another scoring option, though, or someone to take the attention away from him, maybe give him a few more open looks, or maybe someone else has just got to catch fire.
Robert Whaley, that's a young man they would love to have another year of at Bountiful right now. He's tearing it up at CSI. Congratulations, Robert.
Hey, but you know, their big is still Trevin Osler, who signed at BYU as a football offensive lineman. So they've got some size and strength inside.
Can't tackle in basketball, but hey, you know, we'll see if that works. You might get a foul. Or
it's going to be a technical
When
foul.
you talk about some of the other teams in this region, Box Elder, Viewmont, who are some players to watch for? We've got one more team. I'm not going to include them there, but Box Elder, Viewmont, what have you kind of seen from them in the early going?
Well, Box Elder right now, very young team, very small team for Box Elder considering. And then it's funny, their leading scorer right now is their biggest player, Jackson McKee. He's averaging about 17 points a game, 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds. He's been really good, but right now, Box Elder's just working out the rough spots with having a young team, with having a small team. They're pretty turnover prone right now. And of course it's December, so everybody's working out sort of the little things, trying to fine tune some things. But Box Elder, they got a lot of inexperience, and that's sort of their thing right now. And then Viewmont, the one thing you're going to get with Viewmont, you're going to get a really good defensive team. A lot of coaches talk about Bountiful as, you know, the best defensive team in Region 5. Viewmont's right up there with them, and some nights and some years better than Bountiful. So no matter what Viewmont's situation is, and right now they've got a couple good players back, Radek Pulsifer being one of them. But a good defensive team, and that's going to help them a lot in January and February. That's going to help them win some games.
Vikings beat Layton. I mean, this is a Viewmont team that you got to be ready for. The one team we haven't talked about was the team I picked to win Region 5 in the preseason.
Interesting.
That was Woods Cross.
Interesting.
You talk about talent. They got a lot of talent, but Coach
Yes.
Marquette's first year.
Yes, they have the most talent in the region. That's been the consensus of all the Region 5 coaches. Jackson Smith, Mason Bendiger. Those two kids right now, that's the best 1-2
Studs.
combo in the region. The question is obviously, like you said, the new coach. Does that come together with all the new stuff? If so, how well does it come together? Either way, the coaches in the region are still expecting Woods Cross to be a factor. I expect them to be a factor as well.
So, look, we got to bring you a little something. We have Patrick on here, so we're going to introduce the Patrick Prize. Not Price, the Patrick Prize. Patrick, if you're looking for a region champion, who do you think is that favorite at this point in the year?
At this point, I am just going to go off of wins and losses and take Bonneville. I do think that Bonneville, especially the past couple years, has been on a nice upward trend. They have a really good defensive identity. They've shown they can play with the big boys. Last year, they were the only team to beat Farmington in region. The 5A state runner-up Farmington team. Bonneville also went to the state quarterfinals, shut down Timpanogos in the second round. They have a defensive identity. That wins them a lot of games. They're very frustrating to play against. Maybe not really, but a big part of me thinks that the Region 5 title is going to come through this gym at some point.
Great balance, too. They have like four guys that average 8 or 9 plus.
Yes.
So it's not just one or two guys. When you look at the team most likely to make a run in the state playoffs out of Region 5, who would you say at this point has maybe shown you that capability?
I might defer on that one because that's a tough question. I think I've got three. Obviously, Bonneville, so far they've been able to play good defense. Woods Cross, obviously, if Woods Cross comes together, they're a matchup nightmare for anybody in the playoffs, and they can go far. And then Northridge, and I'm saying Northridge because Sammy Buckets right now.
Yeah.
Look at who they've beaten. Look at his late-game heroics. Of course he can do that in the playoffs. Of course they could do that in the playoffs. Absolutely.
You can argue that's maybe the second most surprising loss in Lone Peak basketball history in the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Probably second only to the Viewmont loss in the playoffs. But I mean, it's up there. That was a shocker. Patrick, been awesome having you. Patrick Carr, standard examiner. If you're interested in Northern Utah high school sports, Patrick's your guy. No one covers them better up here. Patrick, we'll have you coming back on over the course of the rest of the year, keeping us up to speed on Region 5, Region 1, some of these other regions. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.